And we're live. Getting a little bit of a late start today because StreamYard decided to completely unrecord or not unrecord, unlink all of our accounts. So I had to go through and relink all of our accounts. So that was fun.
Thank you, StreamYard.
Thank you, StreamYard, for making this a complete disaster. Well, hello and welcome to Think Millions. This is actually alive right now, but we're going to talk today, and we're actually going to use this as our podcast. So just so everybody knows. So welcome to the Think Millions podcast, where today we're going to explore the mind. What? Oh, I thought somebody said something. I was like, what? What? All right, I'm going to start over again now that we're live. Welcome to the Think Millions podcast, and today we're going to explore the mindset and strategies that successful revenue generators use to achieve their financial goals. I'm your host, Dr. Leslie D'Agostino. I'm today joined by my partners, Tanya and Deb. And what's up, ladies?
Hey, thanks for having us. I'm so excited to talk about this topic and talk about more insights on how to really have a millionaire mindset. Because at the end of the day, a lot of our students, come in and work with us, and even through my personal journey, I noticed, a lot of people think they need one thing, but really at the end of the day, it's mindset.
Yeah, we geek out on mindset. It's everything. Got to start there.
Geek it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny because it's not sometimes all about money, but Deb's our COO, and according to her, everything's about cash flow. If you listen to our podcast, you will know the answer is always cash flow.
Yeah, always. If I don't have an answer, I'll just say cash flow.
I mean, but really it's about attitude and habits, right? And if you think about millionaires and why they're millionaires, they're really good at one thing, protecting their time and spending their time on revenue generating tasks. And any person that has a successful business or who is successful, they all have very similar habits. And so I think that it's really important that we talk about that. And today we're going to talk about practical steps that you can take to develop a millionaire mindset. You aren't necessarily always just born with it. So Tanya and Deb, what are some of the key elements that you believe are the millionaire mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think about our mindset, it's like a muscle, right? And it's something that we have to continually be growing. And I know, whether you're new to entrepreneurship or you've been in it for a while, you always hear this, growth mindset versus fixed mindset. But what this means is really knowing yourself, right? And being able to challenge opportunities for growth, right? Taking, those quote unquote failures and turning them into a positive, to learn and to grow, and be willing to take risks and try new things, because that is how you fail forward. I see failure as a positive because it's the best way to improve.
I mean, and that's important, but I also think like taking that mindset and turning it into a relationship with money. I mean, I've been in stages of life where I've had a great relationship with money and I've had a poor relationship with money. We don't kind of think about money as a relationship, but it really is based on your mindset, right? Like having that growth mindset, then how am I relating to how I think about money? And many, many, many times for me, it's been a source of stress because I'd run out of money before I'd run out of month, or or cash flow isn't flowing the way that I need it to. So for me, I think that, money is amoral. That's one of the things about, a lot of people like see money as like this morality thing. Like they think greed, or they think, like maybe one of the ways to be humble is to not be too much about money, but money is amoral. It's simply a tool. And it's called currency for a reason. It's meant to flow. It's not meant to white knuckle grip it. It's not meant to just hold on to it, but it's also not meant to just like waste it and not be a good steward. So I think that really getting serious and intentional about, like you said, Tanya, about your mindset around money, and then starting to form a healthy relationship with it. If we're afraid of money will leave us. I mean, it's just how it is, right? So we have to have a better relationship with it.
It's interesting because we always say, to be really good at building $1 million plus business, it's all about relationships, everything. And you're right. We always talk about people relationships. We don't talk about the other types of relationships like money. And you could be like, I look at me, I'm really good at generating money, like almost too good. But what I'm not good at is once the money comes in the company, right? And cash flow. And because I'm too focused and I'm too good at building relationships on the front end, I've never been great, but I'm good with my own money. I don't like to spend money. Sometimes I do, but I'm not the best in the middle, right? I've kind of lived a life where I just can swipe my credit card. And so when it comes to building a brand new business, I was kind of just swiping the credit card and not really paying attention to the cash flow because I never really honestly had to in my entire life. Well, I would say after my 20s and when I built my businesses. And that's the reality. It's why I hired Deb, who is very good at cash flow. She's worked her whole career to get better and better. Like she said, she had up and downs with her relationship with money, which is a good thing. I love that she had that because she saw the bad, the good, and the ugly of not having the cash flow you need, having the cash flow you need, having issues and problems in businesses. I'd rather be partners with somebody like that because now she's coming in with this experience on how to actually manage this. And so I think it's an interesting point, Deb, to talk about, like even personally, everybody's always like, save your money. But the reality is that's going to do well for you. But what you really need to do is learn how to make your money work for you. And the same goes with business, right? Like we do a ton of advertising. Why have money sit in a checking? If we're doing a 3-4 month advertising campaign, let's put it in a 4 or 5% savings account, APR, where we can actually make money off it. So these are all different things that are really important. So it's interesting because when we talk about revenue generating activities, we're constantly always talking about what are you doing to build money or bring revenue in. But what we're not talking about is the latter, which is what do you do when the money actually comes in, right? So let's dig a little deeper into the topic because sometimes to make money, you have to take risk, right? So Tanya, I'm going to throw this to you. How can our listeners learn to take calculated risk in their revenue generating activities? And should they take revenue generating activity risk?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think it's the question at everyone's hand as an entrepreneur as you're trying to scale, right? Because there are so many daily decisions, right? As a solopreneur or as a CEO, and most of them have to do with risk. So one way is to do your research, right? Gather as much information as possible in making that decision. We have something called a risk calculator. I'll let Alexa really dive more into it. That actually literally calculates your risk and what it's going to be worth to you in the end. Taking more calculated risks are going to obviously give you better results in the end. Another thing is if you're doing this alone, just know that you don't have to, right? Like seek the advice from experts, mentors that have been there, that they have made the mistakes, right? And they have the experience in your area for you to consider, and gather. So that's what I would say for sure. And I love our risk calculator.
I think that's really great advice too, because, and you have to know your mentor and what their intentions are. And that's the biggest thing I've learned because I have mentors that are like, oh, invest in this. But selfishly, it's their deal, right? So I've learned to be super cautious too on who I invest with and what I do with my personal money, but also with business. A lot of times people will tell you, oh, do X, Y, and Z with your business, hire these people, and you have to be really careful. And so I would say when you're thinking about what you're doing with your business and how to make money, I personally think that one of the most important things you need to do is sales. And people want to quickly outsource sales so quickly when they're building their business. And I think that's a mistake. And while this one, it seems pretty obvious, but I think it's worth mentioning, like you need to actively always be selling and obsessed with your service or product. Like I look at all of our services, like Think Fuel, Mighty Yum, like even now Stunt, like all the people that we're doing marketing for, like we're obsessed. And that's why the three of us get along because we're constantly always talking about business. And I go to the grocery store, like yesterday, I went to the grocery store and somebody had NFL jersey on, a Cowboys jersey on. And I'm like, hey, have you downloaded Stunt yet? So like I'm constantly always finding people. Like then somebody was in the cheese aisle and they were picking out plant-based cheese. And I'm like, hey, have you heard about Mighty Yum? So I'm like that stalker that's constantly talking about our businesses. And I think that's really important. And I don't think that you should outsource this in the beginning. If you're under 6 figures, I think you have to get really, really good at sales. And it's the number, no matter who you are, what you're selling, you have to be good at sales. Because even if you sell a product, you might think, oh, well, my website, my marketing does the sales. No, you're going to be going to trade shows. You're going to be trying to get people to invest in your business. Like, people buy people. It doesn't matter if it's a product or a service. They're still buying you, and they're buying your trust, and they're buying your authenticity. So super important to get really good at talking about your product, your service, and really good at sales. Would you agree, Deb?
Listen, this is a huge one, because what I see with some of our coaching clients, and I've experienced it myself, is that trepidation, that hesitation, that not really wanting to ask for the order. Like, I got my sales training out of college. When I came out of college, the first job I had was a sales and marketing job with IBM, and cold calling was part of it. And it was in-person cold calling. And, you had to get really good, but it was a year of training before they would even put your name on a business card with their logo. They wouldn't even let you represent them in an official capacity until you were fully trained, because they wanted you to know how to do sales. It doesn't have to take a year, though. I think you hit it on the head when you first started talking, Alexa, that like the obsession idea. To me, if you're uncomfortable talking about your service, your product, or whatever, then something's off. Because to me, I believe in our clients' products and our products to the point of it's almost on the level of pretending as if you found the cure for something nobody had the cure for. And if you had the cure for something nobody had the cure for, nothing would stop you from telling the world. You'd be on rooftops, you'd be on radio, you'd be everywhere saying, you're not going to believe this. Guess what? And we have to become that possessed and believe that much in what we're doing. And if we don't, then we need to go check our product. Like, what's up with us that we don't believe in ourselves enough, to sell what it is we offer? Because the truth is, it's not about convincing somebody else. It's that I'm so convinced, I can't wait to share with people what I have for them in the way of a solution to a problem, a relief for a pain, whatever it is. I am absolutely obsessed with, like, our marketing agency's ability to grow businesses, our ability to help service providers grow their businesses through coaching. I know what's possible. So I love telling people about it, because I know what we can do for them. I have zero doubt about our abilities. And I think we don't spend enough time making sure that if you're not doing a good job of selling it, something's off in your way of thinking about your product, I think.
Well, I like what Natasha said. She said, no one can sell your service or product the way you can. What do you think
Did you
about
hear
that?
how amped I got, by the way? Did you hear how amped I got when I was, that's how I feel about it.
But unless you train them correctly. So I'm going to like play devil's advocate to that. Like, yes, they can. So if you are properly speaking about your product, let me tell you how good my husband is at selling Mighty Gum in the grocery store. Okay. He sees a woman going to buy Lunchables for his kids. He knows all the talking points. Why? Not because I sat there and lectured him, taught him, because he hears me saying it and talking about it. I mean, I think my children can sell Mighty Yum. They love it so much. So I think, I
Hear Madeline. She's like,
I agree and disagree with that. I agree and disagree with that. Your passion for what you do and your mindset for what you do and what you're putting forward, right? Not money first, but like the mission first. It can rub off on other people. And if you can rub that off on other people, that is the best form of advertising you could possibly get. That good old grassroots guerrilla marketing, right? And other people will know and learn how to talk about what you do, because you're so passionate about it. It'll just spread like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's an important point, and we talk a lot about networking and getting out there. And to me, networking and grassroots is probably the best form of revenue generating. Like, people are scared, and after this, I want to go, Deb, into talking a little bit further about negative mindset towards money. So we'll just prepare yourself for that. But, I think that people are scared. Like, we go live. I don't care who's listening, who disagrees, who thinks we're idiots, whatever. But there's people out there that are listening that we're helping. And so for me, I'm going to keep going live. I'm going to keep going to networking events. I'm going to do those types of revenue generating activities, because that's the best form of creating revenue. How many times do we have students that are like, oh, making no money? I'm like, when's the last time you went to a networking event? Oh, I signed up but haven't gone yet. All right. We had a student who still writes all over Facebook and LinkedIn how broke he is and how he hasn't made any money, but yet I invited him to a conference with us. He didn't show up, literally didn't even tell us he wasn't showing up. We were going to show him how to network, and Tanya and I walked away with $280,000 worth of business in that one networking event. Like, so there's no excuse. Your excuse is you're not getting off your ass to do it, period. And I think people are scared. And Deb, I want to turn to you. Like,
Yeah.
I think people are scared because I think that they have a negative mindset towards money. They don't think they're good enough. They don't have the confidence. Whatever it is, it's stopping them and limiting them from actually being successful.
Right. I think you're spot on. The problem is they're more committed to their fear than they are to their financial success. Hate to say it, but it's true. And we don't want to be committed to our fear. It's not like what we're aiming for, but you can just tell by the results, honestly. And if you have that kind of negative mindset, if you have that fear-based mindset, it's going to create a whole chain of events in how you operate, how you sound. Like Tanya said, it rubs off, right? Like if I'm afraid and I don't want to ask for the order, I don't want, and by the way, asking for the order is just a technicality. By the time you get to that point, it should be just, oh, by the way, here's how you get into the program. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, okay, like, it's the last thing. It's not even the whole point of the thing. The whole point of the thing is a conversation that in exchange of information so that they understand how you can help them, and being really clear and, clarity and all those things. But the confidence comes from, I know what our service can do for people. So I have no fear in talking about it. And that's why I said earlier, if you kind of have this hesitation and you're not like excited to talk about it, then you need to go back and check, what is it you're doubting? What are you worried about? Because the truth is, if I'm afraid to talk about my product or service, and I'm afraid to say, and this is how much I charge to deliver this, then either I don't believe in my own offer, or I've got issues just in general around talking about money. And that goes back to the whole mindset and relationship with money. So you have to sort that out. And when you get some wins under your belt, like either a client does something well, you get a good testimonial, that'll set your sales alight, like that'll put you in motion if you pay attention. So I do think it's important. I mean, it all starts and ends with mindset. It really does.
Well, I'm going to throw another wrench in this and then toss it to Tanya. She's going to love this wrench. The reality is that, like, people don't have the confidence. So I see two issues. One, they don't have the confidence, or they don't have a positive mindset towards money, right? Some people don't believe they deserve to make money. Like, right. I don't get it. Like, I'm like, give me, I want more, but it doesn't make any sense to me. But, and the other is, it's fucking a lot of work, and people don't want to put the work in. And that's part of the problem. People think, oh, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I don't want to have a boss. I just want to be an entrepreneur. But they don't understand. You have to have a strong work ethic to actually produce revenue. And they don't understand the amount of hard work that goes into it. So I want to know your thoughts on that, too.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you have to have that strong work ethic, meaning you have to be fully committed. You have to be committed to your goals. You have to be committed to not giving up. You have to have that grit. You have to have that relentlessness. You have to grow a thick skin. You have to learn how to fail, because if you're not going to fail forward, then you're just failing altogether. And you have to be willing to go that extra mile, right? I use Natasha's example. She has so much grit. I love her. She's one of my favorite students that we have, because she's so gritty and she doesn't give up. She is so relentless. And I think that, the only way to achieve any of your goals, and talk about revenue goals, is that, right? And to build a successful business is to really understand what it is to have a strong work ethic. And I think a lot of people do go into entrepreneurship thinking, I'm going to work the 4-hour day and I'm going to do nothing.
Yeah, 4-hour day. They think 4-hour week. Like,
oh, I'm sorry, 4-hour week, whatever it is. You got to be willing to put the work in. You got to be open-minded, right? Yes, you have to have a good relationship with money, et cetera. But the relationship that's most important, I think, is the one with yourself. So really developing that strong mindset within yourself first, so you can put it outwards. Deb just before was talking about, the sales and having confidence in what you're selling. But it's also understanding other people's mindset and reading other people. Like yesterday on a sales call, me and Deb on a sales call. So many objections, and it's funny because she's in money. She does finance, right? But it's the mindset where she had a fear. She had a fear of stepping forward. I almost was like, Deb, let's just walk. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna help her. And I worked through it. And she, at the end of the call, she's like, you know what? You're right. You're right. I need you guys. And you're completely right. I'm scared because I've been burned in the past. I'm like, I totally get it. Right. But at the end of the day, you have to have that much confidence. And the only way to build up your confidence is to fall a little bit. It's okay, guys. Like fall, like fail forward. But you have to have that grit. You have to build it up.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight,
Yeah.
if you want to read what Natasha wrote, because I think it's really great.
Yeah, I love this. I grew up in a home where the lack of money led to fighting. So my fear of being poor has led me to hold on too tight to money. Being part of Passionate CEO has helped me dramatically with this by helping me understand how business and money works. The more knowledge I have, the quieter that fear comes. Yeah, when I think about
That is a great quote, by the way.
It is.
Like, the
Can we,
more
like-
knowledge I have, the quieter the fear comes. How powerful is that?
Very much so. And she said she was holding on too tight. When I think about anything, so let's talk about a relationship with money, relationship with ourselves, relationship with someone else. It's like sand, right? You hold on to it too loosely, it's going to fall out. You hold on to it too tightly, it's going to fall out too. You have to have it just right, so where you know that it's going to be there in the palm of your hand. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. I think what you're talking about, Tanya, and what Natasha said makes me think. So many of us think we work for money.
Yeah.
That's backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Money works for us.
Yes. That's right.
And we become a slave to the money. We put it in charge of us, and we are upside down on the loan of life when we do that, because the tool is for us to wield, not the other way around. Otherwise, we become the tool, and nobody wants to be a tool. Come on.
Unless I'm a super cool tool with all of the ones that come
I
out.
was going to say, unless I'm a tool that makes money or something, then I'll be a tool.
Yeah. Well, you are a money-making tool.
And somehow, I don't know.
But we have to flip that. We have to flip that. You can't think about working for money. You got to think about money.
No, it's kind of what I said earlier. Like, you need your money to work for you.
Yeah.
Like, in your business, personal life, we think of money in and out. We don't think about when the money's in, what do we do with it to make it work for us, right? So again, I use the example of, we have so much cash flow coming in that we hold on for 2 to 4 months because we're doing advertising. Why let it sit there?
Saving and investing are not the same thing. Saving and investing are not the same thing. Saving doesn't produce a return. Investing does. So, yeah.
I mean, everyone's always like, save, 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 save. All right, well, if you have a stack of cash, what are you doing with it?
Yeah, it's just
exactly.
It's just sitting there doing
nothing. That's how you build wealth. Like, you don't get rich by saving.
No.
Right.
You don't.
We have financial advisors.
I have 3 financial advisors, literally. Why have one when you can have 3?
Yeah.
They all have different advice. It's quite interesting. And they're probably listening to this going, I didn't know this.
You're cheating on me.
You're cheating on me. Well, actually, by accident, one time I sent my TIA prep to the wrong guy. He goes, I don't have this account. I'm like, oops, sorry. No, but it's like the same with coaching, right? It's like you should be, and I don't recommend having multiple of coaches who are the same, because they're not going to all agree, and it's going to be a disaster. You're going to get different, like, I would say different comments and suggestions. But what I do suggest is having different types of help, different communities, different people. For me, like, I have 3 different kinds of coaches, right? I have a financial coach, I have a business coach, and I have a mindset coach. They give different advice for different things. So I do recommend, as you grow, be in different communities. Don't just rely on one. And I even say that for our students, like, don't just rely on our community, like, build your own community. Maybe if you're in accounting, or like Sammy, who's in like the production world, build a community of people that are in that world. 1, it's going to help you because you're the leader of that community, but 2, you're going to have other people that get you. Like, it's a whole different world. So really important that if you want, one of the best revenue generating activities you can do is build a community for yourself. Really is really important.
I mean, so we're talking about here building your mindset and your confidence. You know, that is only going to build you up, right? To have people around you that are going to look to you as a go-to authority and or share, like-mindedness. I think it's the best thing to do.
Yeah. And we have to go, because guess what? We get to go announce 2 little promotions that we did this week. And I'm really excited. You're welcome, Sammy. And yes, Camille. So really, really excited. So just to summarize, thanks for both of your insights. It's clear, and I hope it's clear to all of you, that developing a millionaire mindset is so much more than just money. It's about adopting the right attitudes, the right habits that lead to long-term financial success of your personal financial success, but also your business. So thanks for tuning in. And if you want more podcast episodes, you can go to thinkmillions.com. We have a ton of really great podcast episodes. And make sure to subscribe, because we work really hard to come live every week and give you guys some really stellar content. So we will see you next week. and we'll stay in touch. Bye, everyone.